Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Marcy Chacho. I am the Philanthropy Manager at the Worldwide Foundation for Credit Unions, and I'd like to thank you all so much for joining us today. This webinar is hosted by WOCCU Webinars in partnership with the Worldwide Foundation for Credit Unions. So before we get started, a couple of quick housekeeping notes. This session is being recorded. It'll be translated live from English into Spanish. You can click the interpretation button at the bottom of your screen and select the language of your choice. So today we'll be watching a short documentary called Breaking the Cycle. It was produced by OneAZ Credit Union, and it's a film that follows three Arizona entrepreneurs. And through their stories, it looks at the systemic barriers that small business owners who are in marginalized communities face when they're trying to access capital, financial education, and opportunity, and what role credit unions can play in helping to break that cycle. So we'll watch the film in three different parts, and after each one, I'll bring in our speakers to talk through what we've just seen together, and we'll close with time for your questions. So go ahead and drop any questions that you have in the chat as we go along. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So I am joined today by two guests from OneAZ Credit Union. So first, welcome Mike Boden. He is the president and CEO of OneAZ Credit Union. And Mike stepped into the CEO role earlier this year after serving as OneAZ's chief financial officer. And he has been with OneAZ since 2014, but he's been a member for more than 30 years. He brings over 25 years of leadership experience in financial services in that role. So Mike, thank you so much for being here with us today.
And thank you, Marcy, and I appreciate everyone joining today. I'm excited to be able to share this film and documentary, and more importantly, the message and the way that we can come together to really improve lives is a critical part of today. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you. And I stand corrected. I've been saying OneAZ. I should be saying OneAZ. Sorry, my mistake on that. I'd also like to welcome Dr. Pearlette Ramos. She is Vice Chairperson of OneAZ Credit Union Board of Directors. Pearlette is a civil rights lawyer, a social justice advocate, and a filmmaker. She holds a Juris Doctor from Case Western Reserve University and a PhD in psychology from Saybrook University. She directed the film Breaking the Cycle, the film that we're about to watch. So Pearlette, welcome, and thank you also for joining us today.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So Pearlette, I'd like to start with you before we even watch the first section of the film. What inspired you to create Breaking the Cycle, and what did you hope that audiences would take away from the story that is featured in the film?
I created the film as part of my capstone project for the Credit Union Diversity Education Program. And I was inspired by a number of reasons. First, I really wanted to honor the lived experiences of people who work hard every day to achieve financial stability, and yet they face systemic barriers that have shaped that opportunity for generations. I personally grew up in a family that struggled to make ends meet, so I understand the weight of financial instability and how deeply troubling it can be to gain access and opportunity. One of the other reasons is the power of storytelling. I wanted to use storytelling and culturally relevant education to help empower underserved entrepreneurs and then to spark education. And then I would say the third reason is really to encourage a credit union in particular to think differently about financial inclusion and how we can better serve members through member-centered transformation and to increase the impact that we're having. So within credit unions to spark conversation, inspire action, and then ultimately to empower underserved entrepreneurs.
Well, thank you for that, Pearlette. So let's go ahead and watch the first part of your film.
The Earth moves in cycles.
The sun rises and sets. Tides ebb and flow. Seasons change. Our individual well-being is tied to our economic well-being. A paycheck arrives and puts dinner on the table. But for many, that paycheck doesn't stretch far enough. Like the cycles of life, poverty is often passed from generation to generation. Not every cycle is natural. Opportunity and access to financial resources can vary drastically from one neighborhood to the next. Fortunately, cycles can be broken. We sat down with a few Arizona entrepreneurs to examine how they are breaking the cycle.
My name is Nella Boden, and I own Nella's Innovative Creations, and it's a catering business that focuses on highlighting indigenous foods within Arizona and also other surrounding tribes. My focus is to introduce the food in a way where we see the modern cuisine, and also introduce the flavors and try to represent the story of how that food has come about within the tribe, with its ancestors and the community. This is a blue corn tostada topped with a black bean hummus, and it's going with the white Sonoran wheat berries that is marinated with prickly pear syrup and garnished with microgreens. I am representing the Navajo tribe, and I'm representing the Kiani clan. Unfortunately, Native American communities, financial literacy, it wasn't important. And so because we missed that pocket of knowledge and education, it really takes a toll on us as we got older. And as we started to venture out off the reservation, I walked into something very unfamiliar when it comes to financial independence. I didn't step into a bank until I was like maybe 26. It was very scary, and I was very fearful in a lot of ways because I didn't want to fail. What keeps me going as a business owner, my mother has been a caterer herself, cooked and served the community we live in, Navajo tacos, a traditional mutton stew. Seeing that often and being treated to that good food, I just tailed into it. I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing, meaning that I'm actually cooking and making really good food for my customers, for the community, for the people in all indigenous communities.
Coldwater Cafe is a place where local residents can enjoy kind of like the finer things in life at an affordable price point. And an environment that's like very familiar to them and friendly. They feel like it's literally a house, so they feel like they're at home. We have a farm right in the back, you know, so when you order a salad here, that lettuce is coming from the back. The tomatoes, the cucumbers, all of that is coming from the back yard. Community is everything to our business. It literally is our business. One of the catchphrases that I came across in learning about cooperatives was democracy in the workplace. We solve problems together, and I feel like that's kind of what community does. I think I'm not too different from most people, where like the place you grow up, your whole sense of identity and place in the world, that for me is Avondale. I grew up here when there weren't really that many big box stores, and there were farms on Central right here. Everywhere you went, every business, it seemed like almost every business that you walked into, it was owned and operated by somebody who lived around here. As soon as those big box stores came in, that was it. There's almost nothing owned and operated by anyone who lives around here anymore. I am a member of a credit union, both personally and my business. You know, I've gone to them to ask them for loans and have been turned down repeatedly with no advice about what I should do, you know, to turn things around and get it right.
If we're going to be real and honest about this, African American, Native American, Hispanic individuals with impeccable credit, impeccable job history and record showing that would not be or receive that same privileges, that same amount of deference in terms of credit history. The discrimination still exists.
So, Mike, I want to bring you in here. Why did you feel that it was important for OneAZ to support this documentary, and how does it connect to your credit union's mission and values?
Marcy, thank you for asking that. I may need to put my camera off so that my bandwidth can come through and I can answer the question properly. So just for those on the screen, I just want to let you know that's why I may turn it off to make sure that you can hear what I have to say. Credit unions, we operate within a very competitive environment, and so we're lured often by the need to grow, the need to expand market share. We need to remember that we play within the for-profit world, but we have the heart of a nonprofit. And it's very important to us at OneAZ that we recognize and are very conscious of the institution that we're trying to become. And we focus in on the problems that we should be known for solving. And that's really the message of the documentary, that we don't lose sight of who we are as an industry and as an organization. And so as we think about, our mission, like many credit unions, is tied to people. The mantra of the movement is people helping people. And our mission at OneAZ is to improve the lives of our members, associates, and the communities that we serve. And so we need to make sure that we're focused on bringing that mission to life and not just chasing market share or size and growth.
I love that when you say that you have the heart of a nonprofit. That's really says a lot. So thank you for that, Mike. Let's continue on with the next section of the film, please.
As I got into Local First Arizona, I started to realize how many barriers there were for some entrepreneurs. So when you're an entrepreneur, capital is like oxygen. You need to access capital in order to grow your business. And I came across many people who were trying to build their business on cash. And when I inquired, why are you trying to do it that way? They didn't think they belonged in a bank or a credit union. And I realized that they didn't grow up in a household where my parents had me start my first little savings account when I was 6. And I had to keep track of the ledger of my money coming in and money going out. And I learned young that not everybody had that good fortune. And so it became really important to me to help others on their journey to financial empowerment. We help people get comfortable in a bank and to understand the difference between good debt and bad. It's been quite a journey, but we've built a lot of trust.
Small business owners are the lifeblood of our future as far as Arizona goes and as far as the country goes. And so it's critical that we help and provide the financial literacy or the education and support to those entrepreneurs who are starting out. For the most part, they need to understand the rules of access to credit and a line of credit. What they need is cash, a cash flow to operate their business.
My name is Tomeka Winborn, and my business is Lavender Real Media Group, LLC. Around 2014, I decided to start a production company. I've done 5 short films, 2 documentaries, and I also direct audiobooks, all media things related. I am 50 plus years old. I don't have a savings, I don't have retirement. As a freelancer, sometimes it's difficult to save enough money to prepare for the next, and it's very scary. I'm often afraid of what's going to happen if I get sick. I grew up in Fort Smith, Virginia, and it's a very small Navy town. My family did not talk about money much growing up, and so, there was lack of, I think, conversations or mentorship around money and finances.
We don't talk about it. We would talk about our most intimate escapades before we talk about money. We will tell a stranger in the laundromat, in the checkout line at the grocery store, the worst things in the world that happen to us, where we won't talk about our finance. I believe that it starts at home, that we talk about something as simple as saving, the importance of saving, and how that savings can be used to go on a vacation, how that savings can be used to buy that special toy, how that savings can be used to generate other savings.
Oftentimes, whether you're an entrepreneur, artist, you don't feel like it's real or possible because you don't know anyone who's doing it. Being the first is difficult because a lot of times when you create a business or you're an artist, you're doing it out of passion. But you still have to learn, and you don't always have the resources or the people that can give you the advice, or you don't know where to get the mentorship from. So oftentimes it was more like survival, just trying to have enough money to survive day to day. And then no one really, my family doesn't come from a family of artists or entrepreneurship, so no one said, regardless if you make $20, put a penny away. Like, no one had that conversation with me. The reason that I don't have a retirement plan or savings is because as a freelancer, honestly, most of the time I didn't make enough money to reinvest back into my retirement, to be honest with you.
So Pearlette, this question is for you. So in the film, it explores systemic inequality through the experiences of three entrepreneurials. What are some of the barriers that highlighted in that documentary, and how do they show up in communities today?
Well, one of the central themes is the systemic barriers to wealth creation, including the lasting effects of redlining, financial deserts, the racial wealth gap, and then limited access to credit. I think through the experiences of Black, Latinx, and the indigenous entrepreneur being Nella, the film helps to put a human face on these structural challenges. And obviously they tell their stories. The second thing is the film also explores how lived experiences can shape better solutions. Tomeka, Anthony, and Nella's stories help us to see why understanding people's real life experiences really matters when we're designing financial products and services and the underlying policies that will help truly meet their needs. And then I think another important theme is the role credit unions, ultimately, the role credit unions and communities can play in financial liberation. One of the things that we talk about in the film is basically it takes a village. And because credit unions are built on trust and member ownership, and oftentimes are in collaboration with the community, we have a unique opportunity to provide more than financial products, but we can help develop relationship support and I think pathways to greater economic opportunity in community. And then the last little piece obviously is related to entrepreneurship. The film looks at entrepreneurship as both a risk and I'm going to say as resistance. Nella, Tomeka, and Anthony are entrepreneurs who are struggling with their businesses. They're working really hard every day, and these gaps still exist for them. So they're not just simply building businesses in addition to, fulfilling their own dreams. They're also seeking to create opportunities in the community to reclaim economic agency, and they each talk about their struggles with that. And so the film asks us to look beyond the individual financial outcomes and to consider the systems, the relationships, the community, and in the impact that they want to have, but also the interrelationship and the impact that the community can have on them as well.
Thank you. Yes. All right. Well, thank you for that. Let's watch the final part of the film now.
Homeownership is a critical path for building wealth. I see wealth being created in two ways. One is the saver's path, right? People will save, earn money, and then put some aside, live on less than they earn. Another way to build wealth is through equity, through ownership, whether that's in home ownership or a business. So there's a lot of hoops to jump through in the traditional way of accessing capital to build equity, whether it's through home ownership or owning a business. And so that's where we, as a credit union and as an industry, can make some meaningful differences.
I think at the core of every successful project or program that truly impacts small and local businesses, relationships matter most. And being a part of a community, consistently being there, building that runway to help people, it's just essential. At the core of it is trust.
What if we were to create a consortium of credit unions to help burden the risk that's associated for those who don't have your traditional credit score or FICO? What if we were to develop a program where, with a very limited down payment, we were able to help people access home ownership, and we shoulder the burden of risk across not just one institution, but 5 or 6 institutions across Arizona? This is a reality that's happening today. It's been facilitated by our credit union association, and it's something that we're very excited for, to be able to change the rules of how a product's underwritten, to change the rules of how down payments and risk is managed, because we're sharing the risk across multiple institutions. This is how credit unions can make a meaningful difference in communities.
I believe credit unions could be more helpful, one, by being composed of basically the people who are banking there. We should have a credit union here on Western Avenue, and the members are people who live right here within a square mile. Those are the members, and they vote. They vote for everything, for who is the board, what's the direction that this bank is gonna go in, how do we give out loans, what's our underwriting rules, all of that. It's a bank that's set up to enrich us, our community. It's to build community wealth. That should be the function of a credit union.
How do I envision breaking the cycle of financial struggle is going to be that we just need to be able to educate ourselves and support one another. It has to start with one person at a time. We want to be able to come back to our community and share our experiences. They are talented. They carry the same skill set as I do. They carry the same resiliency as I do.
It takes grassroots efforts to break that cycle and truly make a difference. Local First Arizona is going to continue on the journey where we are. We're going to continue to meet people where they're at. We want to help families get to a place where they have an inheritance for their children.
I love what I do, and I think the work that I do is very important, and I want to continue to do important work and tell stories that hopefully can start conversations to help find solutions to issues that we deal with as human beings.
My dream is to help our local residents gain confidence, and I'd like to empower them to start businesses that are owned and operated by us, the community.
We're truly looking to help individuals succeed. And so we can't succeed if others around us and those that bank with us are failing. Homeownership is
So Mike, the title of the film is Breaking the Cycle. What role do you think that credit unions play in helping break cycles of financial exclusion and inequality?
I think it's critical for credit unions to really, again, realize their identity and bring their identity to life. Like I said, we live in this world where we can be pulled in multiple directions. Our focus at OneAZ is making sure we're crystal clear on how are we going to make the impact in our communities the true differentiator, and then ensure that we're growing as an organization and as communities because of that differentiation. And there's a lot of different ways that we can choose to make a meaningful difference. As mentioned in the film, Anthony used the phrase of building wealth as a community. And that really speaks to community vitality. In the end, we're looking to ensure that we are a solid contributor to the community. And there's multiple different points that we could focus on, from the access of opening the door, reaching those that are underserved, new to credit, building their financial world in a system that they need help navigating, all the way through the different layers of making sure that they're financially stable, finding ways to help them expand their opportunities, and then finally building wealth and lasting financial strength. Credit unions can play a role anywhere within those kind of that continuum or that progression that ultimately is going to create a community that's stronger together. And that's really the focus of the mission of credit unions.
So Mike, with that, what risk mitigation strategies did OneAZ use? Because let's be honest, you had some high risk applications with entrepreneurs. Can you share any of that?
Yeah, we obviously don't put the organization's financial health in jeopardy by taking undue risk. What we do is we make sure that we're very clear about the risks that we are taking and that we consciously take those risks. One of the things that we're moving to right now within our risk management is, does the risk really equal the outcome or support the outcome that we're looking to accomplish? And so as we think about what do we want to be known for, what's our primary measure of success, we need to make sure that we are focused on how going to help city, make sure that our risk is driving toward that, not just an activity or a milestone, such as a balance sheet size, asset size, or a certain level of loan production. But it's more, how is that production translating to, or how is that asset size translating to the outcome we're looking to help support?
Great. And Pearlette, can I ask you why you decided to sit on the board for OneAZ?
Well, I've been a credit union member for about 30 years and in Arizona for about 20. I am passionate about economic justice and very much believe in the work and the mission of credit unions. And so I sought a seat and I'm grateful to have served for the last 6 years.
That's great. And then the last question that I'd ask both of you to weigh in on is, after our viewers watch this Breaking the Cycle film, what's one action that you hope they will take? Mike, we'll start with you.
Thank you. My expectation, aspiration, and hope is that people will go back to their financial institution. And if it's not clear as far as what that institution represents and what's the primary outcome they're looking to help support within the community, that they help that institution find that focus. Again, there's so many different opportunities within the world. And oftentimes within credit unions, we see an ambition to become large, to become very competitive, because the world's changing very rapidly. And we see competitors coming in and solving problems of simplicity, of ease, of technology that everyone wants to help improve the way they get things done. And so it's not enough just to have a great digital experience, or it's not enough just to have a banking platform that's going to help the standard set of participants in the market move forward. It's really about how are we helping those who need guidance, who need someone to help navigate a very complex and fragmented system. And that's really the value proposition I believe credit unions play is we're more of a guide than just a product delivery system.
Yeah. Pearlette, would you like to add to that?
Sure. A minute ago, maybe it's been more than a minute, Mike mentioned earlier leading OneAZ to address the problems we need to solve, like really being focused on that. And I think that captures what I'd like to see is in terms of action. We have an opportunity, and I would argue a responsibility to look at the barriers that our members are facing and ask ourselves, what can we do differently to meet people where they are? I'd also like to say something about like poverty is not simply an issue about financial access or inclusion. There are, psychosocial aspects of that of poverty. It's oftentimes a traumatic experience for people to really work very hard and still not be able to achieve their dreams. And quite often, and you hear through the stories, they don't really know why. Like, why am I not able to? And so I think for those who are struggling to break the cycle, my hope is that they walk away knowing that A, they're not alone. I want them to be able to free themselves from the shame that's often associated with financial hardship and recognize that their circumstances do not define their worth or their future. And ultimately, it's to challenge credit unions, right? To hold us accountable to our mission and to tell us what we need. What do we need? Well, we need to challenge ourselves to listen differently, to understand the lived experiences, and then to create products and services and relationships to, as Mike said, to actually address the problems we are here to help solve.
And actually, there was a question in the chat that you partially answered that I think already, but the question is, besides loans, what other services can credit unions provide to entrepreneurs? Would either one of you like to answer that?
I'll answer that. Again, I have a little bit of an unstable network, so I'm going to turn the video off and just make sure I understood the question. Aside from loans, what products can be provided to help? Is that the question?
They used the question, or they worded it as, what other services can credit unions provide? And specifically, they asked to entrepreneurs.
Got it. One of the things that I would love to see us be able to provide more of is business advice, business guidance. Small business owners generally have great ideas. Entrepreneurs have great ideas. They need a guide to help them navigate everything, not just the access to capital, which that is what a credit union can provide at its product base, but an ancillary support could be maybe some guidance around marketing, maybe some guidance around scrutinizing the business plan and helping be an advisor to that business for growth. These are roles that credit unions wouldn't traditionally play in. More, we'd be scrutinizing the business plan, making underwriting decisions. But my vision is that we would ultimately become an advisor to the business and help be a partner to their success into the future.
There's another question in the chat. It is, what risk would the credit union face when lending to entrepreneurs who do not have good credit scores or who are not accustomed to borrowing to expand their business? So what risk would the credit union face?
Yeah, the biggest risk would be a risk of loss. We'd lend money to one who may not have the means to repay what they've borrowed. And this is where we need to be looking at more than just FICO or traditional credit scores to make these discernments. The traditional underwriting system doesn't necessarily help those who either are new to credit or haven't used credit in the past because of whatever the circumstances or reasons they might find themselves in. And so looking for alternatives is very important to credit unions. And for us, But that is the biggest risk, is that we would lend money and then would not be repaid.
Another question is the credit union consortium that was mentioned in the video is a fascinating idea that could be applied to our global movement. Is there more information that you can share on this program? And then they thanked both of you for elevating the awareness of the issue through the documentary and sharing it with us today. So can either one of you share some more information on the consortium?
Yeah, I'll share a little bit about what we're doing here in Arizona. We've been working with gaining more of a coalition of credit unions working together, whereas you see in the credit union industry a lot of consolidation going on with mergers of credit unions. Rather than focusing on mergers, what we've been focusing on in Arizona is how do we help support each other as credit unions. And so this consortium that I mentioned is real. There's a group of credit unions in Tucson, Arizona that have come together and are sharing the burden of risk related to home ownership. And they've even helped credit unions that don't normally participate in the mortgage product arena. They refer members who need help getting into a home, first-time home buyers, to sister credit unions, and then that risk or the reserve we take and we set aside for if someone isn't able to repay is then shared among the various credit unions. And so this is something that what began about 3-4 years ago as kind of an incubator idea that has greatly expanded, and we're looking to expand it beyond Tucson and take it to the whole state. And in fact, other states have inquired and are looking into it as well.
Pearlette, do you have any? Oh, no, that's great. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry. So there's one more question that they asked. Do you have a cooperative education model? And what impact does it have on fostering a cooperative identity among your members?
When I might need to understand a cooperative education model question, but we do have a very heavy emphasis on education and helping the members that bank with OneAZ and that we can come into contact with through the communities to help people understand the financial system and what financial health may or may not look like. We have in our branches a network of all the bankers get certified in a financial education program. It's not a licensing program per se, like a wealth management type program, but it's more of a needs-based assessment to help them become that coach and advisor. And that's the education model that we focus on.
And it's different than a traditional bank. That's great. Another question just came through. It says, oftentimes credit unions give reasons like regulatory oversight that might hinder them from developing products to meet these types of situations or people. Do you agree with that? When our mantra is people helping people, are we saying but not doing?
I do agree that there are regulatory constraints that we need to be very conscious of and work through. I think that the more important piece of the puzzle is how do we do both? How do we comply with the regulatory requirements while being creative in the products that we serve? Oftentimes when we get a little concerned, it's generally driven by a fear of loss of income or revenue. Which seems to hold us back a little bit more than the regulatory, again, depending on the specifics of the situation.
Someone asked if this is if this video will be available, and it will be available on YouTube, and we'll have a slide at the end that shows where you can find it for the film. I think that's all of the questions in the chat. It says an ICU day question. And actually, Mike, I know I'm familiar somewhat with what OneAZ is doing for International Credit Union. You actually celebrate the whole week. It's kind of a little mini consortium of its own. Would you like to share some of the things that OneAZ does for International Credit Union Day or week?
Sure. As part of International Credit Union Day, we've actually expanded it to the week. And this is again where we celebrate the relationships that we have with other Arizona headquartered credit unions and make sure that we're focused on community specifically that week, and that we're focused on serving the community together. And so we do come together in an effort of, we have over 20 credit unions participating now that really focus in on how can we serve the community and make a greater awareness of credit unions and the difference that we make.
It's really amazing how they've all come together and all of the things that happen during the week. So congratulations to you and your team for putting that together. So I want to thank you both, Mike and Pearlette, for being here today and sharing your perspectives and this amazing film with us. We do have a slide up there for International Credit Union Day that we celebrated here at the Worldwide Foundation for Credit Unions. We do have International Credit Union Day pins that are available, and that is a philanthropic opportunity for us here at the foundation. But they're a pin that we credit unions around the world can wear on the same day in solidarity to show that there are credit unions that are experiencing the same types of things that we are in our own backyard, and kind of learning from each other around the world and celebrating together. There's also online on our website, there's free social media kit where you can have, there's posters that you can hang in your branches, there's press releases, there's backgrounds like these lovely backgrounds that you can put up for PowerPoint presentations, things like that. So there's anything that you could need to celebrate International Credit Union Day is on our website. Some of it is free, some of it you can pay for a social media kit. And then we really encourage you to participate and spread the word and share by using the hashtag ICU Day 2026. If you're trying to figure out ways to celebrate at your own credit union, you can look at the hashtag of ICU Day 2025, and there's hundreds of pictures of ways that credit unions around the world celebrate. So if you want to learn more, go ahead and scan the QR code that's there, or just go to the website on Do Global Good or the WOCCU website, and there's a lot more information there for that. With that, I would like to thank you all so much for joining us today on behalf of WOCCU Webinars and the Worldwide Foundation for Credit Unions. We hope that you can take what you've seen today and what you've seen and heard and take it back to your own communities and to your own credit unions, and have a great rest of your day. So thank you so much.